if you have like issues letting go of things, if you find like you're just stuck, like you find that these same emotions keep on coming up, and you just can't seem to get rid of them, then this presentation is for you. Over the next couple minutes, I'm going to show you a technique that is so profound and so simple that you're going to love it, and you're going to be doing it all the time to get rid of that emotional stuff that we hang on to. So let's dive in and get started. So a little background on this. I'm a certified hypnotist, and in my training, we learned many different techniques and different approaches to the mind and how to work with the mind and all. But just going back millennium, um, the wisdom traditions intuited that what research is finally now confirming in that what we meet with awareness begins to change. In other words, as we become aware of our feelings, we are that's how we change them. Eckhart Tolle says 90% of healing is just being aware that you even have something that needs to heal. And like if you think of this, think of that person that just never changes and they're always the same. You'd probably find that that person is always blaming everything on everybody else. They don't even know that they're maybe causing a nuisance in the group or whatever, and because they're not aware, they're not even aware of what they're doing. So now we move forward, and there's a growing body of physiological and neuroscience research that that simply is bringing simply bringing kind, non-judgmental awareness to an emotional state reduces its intensity and rigidity, making it easier for the nervous system to reorganize and heal. And one of the leading founders in this studies is Matthew Lieberman, who's a social neuroscientist at professor at UCLA. So basically, what he's saying is that noticing emotions begins to reorganize it neurologically. So basically, this means that just by being aware of an emotion, you're physically changing the synapses in your brain. You're causing a physical reaction in your brain. So it's huge. So we can take this and apply, hypnosis techniques that come from my teacher, Bob Ranger. Bob was greatly influenced by Jim Gore, Dr. Jack Gibson, and they've all had a foundational influence by Milton Erickson, in terms who supported the natural healing process through awareness, safety, and integration. So there's a lot of history here in these techniques that I want to walk through today. And then just as a disclaimer, this work is educational and supportive in nature and is not a substitute for medical or mental health treatment. So we had to just get that in there for the legal guys. So let's start out by something that we probably all know. We have three parts of our mind. We have the subconscious mind, which is sometimes called the ego. And in ego, that's not just like when you think of somebody, well, they're so egotistical, the person with their big chest inflated and they're always right and everybody else is wrong. The ego is the subconscious mind that feeds information into our conscious mind. And then we have our higher self, which is sometimes called the superconscious. So let's take a little look at the characteristics of these three parts of our mind, because I'll tell you what, if you're having issues and concerns in your life right now, these three parts of your being are not working in unison, and that's what we're going to try to do here tonight. So it's kind of neat. I think this is really fun and it's easy. So the first thing when we look at the subconscious was designed to keep us alive. In other words, when you put your hand on a stove, it's hot, it burns, your subconscious is going to say, don't touch that. Or if you're if there's a saber-toothed tiger growling in the distance, your subconscious is going to say, run like hell. It's not necessarily rational, but the subconscious mind just wants to help. It just wants to help us stay alive. It's not some evil, dark thing that causes us. to do the devil's work or something. It's just, it's there. It's an unconscious part of us that wants to keep us alive and keep us healthy. So now in today's world, we don't have saber-toothed tigers, but we do have social pressures. We have different types of things. Maybe if uh, there was a loving aunt or parent that you really loved, but they were really overweight and heavy, and everybody loved them, you might suddenly, your subconscious mind might tell you, eat, 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 because when you get big and you get heavy, everybody's going to love you. Or likewise, if you're abused in some way, your subconscious mind might say, eat, 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 so you're not accepted and you're not, people won't find you attractive and then you won't get abused again. So it's just trying to help. So we have to consider that, not look at it as a bad thing or look at it as guilty or anything. Also, the subconscious mind likes to categorize things. It likes to see what it has, what's before us now, and it likes to plug it into something that it knows. So it's kind of likes to continue on the same path that it always has. The subconscious mind also has significantly controls the thinking mind. They say that we think, I don't know, whatever the number, the 80 or 90% of our thoughts are the same every single day. So in these neuroscience studies, they've also found that the subconscious mind thinks a lot faster than the conscious mind. So the subconscious mind is going to actually come to a conclusion significantly sooner, milliseconds anyway, sooner than our conscious mind will. So it's already figured out the issue and it's going to send that information into our conscious mind, which is then going to just react to whatever the subconscious mind is. You're going to get angry at something. Why do I always get angry when they do that to me? I don't know, but I always do. That's the subconscious mind telling you some type of survival instinct that whatever, when we're kids, we're not, the minds aren't fully developed. We develop these ideas and principles and beliefs, and they're not always as wholesome or as healthy for us, but the subconscious mind wants that to be. So our conscious mind is how we can do day-to-day activities um, but like I said, it's mostly controlled by the influence. So you can override the influence with conscious effort. But boy, that subconscious mind always seems to come back, right? How many people put that New Year's Eve resolution that they're going to lose weight, and then so their conscious mind is like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym every day and I'm going to do it. But that subconscious mind is saying, no, when you're big, people will love you. And so that subconscious mind is always gnawing away. Then we have the superconscious mind. This is sometimes called the higher self. This is where our wisdom comes from. This is where we connect to something greater than ourself. And the superconscious mind has potentially the most influence. But in normal situations, we don't use it because the society doesn't really teach us that it even exists. It's like, hey, you got to solve problems. What does school teach us? School teaches us to memorize things and solve problems. It doesn't really teach us to use that creative essence, which is available to all of us, that some people, some famous artists and musicians and stuff will tap into it and they'll use that higher source to figure things out. Like Einstein said, he figured out the theory of relativity when he was just relaxing and he wasn't even thinking about it. And it just came in his head. That was the higher self, the superconscious mind, bringing that information in. All right, so these are our three parts. So you can see from what I've been talking about how these parts, your conscious mind is not going to agree with your subconscious mind, right? But it doesn't even know it doesn't agree. All you know is there's conflict within. I'm nervous. I'm tired. I wake up in the middle of the night. I can't go back to sleep. Why is all this happening to me? So this little exercise that we're going to do today um, is derived from a technique that Bob Ranger taught when I was going through hypnosis. He called it SHAG PX, which I won't go into the details of it all because we're going to just do a shorter version of that today. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the superconscious, the higher self, working with the subconscious and the conscious all working together to to solve our issues and to solve our emotional problems. And I'm not saying that this will happen with this short abbreviated technique, but my teacher, I had bad sleep apnea every night. I would wake up gasping for air, and my lungs would stop breathing, and my lungs hurt, and I couldn't go back to sleep. And in one 20-minute session with my teacher, I haven't had sleep apnea in like 6 years. So it's very powerful, what this can do. Now, I'm not saying this will work for you, but what we're going to do tonight is we're going to work on the emotional side. But you can use this on the physical side too. But that's just something you can try. But that's beyond the way beyond the scope of what we're talking about here tonight. So we're going to just look at some emotional stuff tonight. So as I said, what the process is going to do is we're going to get all of our parts of our being to work in unison. So the way this is going to work is your conscious mind, your thinking mind, is going to become the objective, compassionate facilitator between the higher self and the subconscious mind. Okay? Because this is our thinking mind. I mean, how often do you think you want to change something and it doesn't happen, right? We could think all day long and it doesn't change things. So, what we need to do is we need to connect with our subconscious and we need to connect with our higher self to where the real power is, where we can really make changes in our life. Okay, so what we're going to do is the conscious mind is going to become the facilitator. So, you are the facilitator, your thinking mind. And then we're gonna work with the higher self to educate the subconscious mind on how to reframe things and learn how to heal and learn how to so that the subconscious mind can learn from the higher self. In other words, we're going to connect all three aspects of ourself into focusing in one direction in whatever we want to work on. This technique can be done at any time. You can do it whenever. You don't need to be in a trance. You can be relaxed if you're in line or something and you're frustrated at the DMV or something. You can just do this and you can just do it while you're waiting in line, and it'll help to relieve the stress or whatever that you may be experiencing. This is not an exercise in willpower or force. This is an exercise in awareness and allowing. And then um, the other nice thing about this technique is if you had a bad experience in your life somewhere or something, you don't need to experience it because the actual healing and training goes on between the superconscious and the subconscious. So the conscious mind may get a glimpse of something, but it it may not, and it doesn't need to for the healing to work. And then finally, if it's too intense, then just stop. Take a breath and seek professional help. Quite often, there are situations in our life that are very traumatic and we suppress them down and it's just too much for us to deal with ourselves. So, in that case, you need a trained facilitator who can walk you through these procedures. This is more for like day-to-day frustrations. Why am I stressed out? Why is this happening? So, again, keep in mind if it is too intense for you, or if you're feeling like you're losing control, don't just stop. You don't, it's not something for you to do. This is for the nice, easy, simple stuff, is what we're talking about here today. Okay. So remember that, that's very important. Okay, so preparation. The first thing we want to do is we want to set up what's called ideomotor. Um, a lot of people know this as muscle testing. Probably most of you have done some form of muscle testing in your life. One way people do is they do this, and there's other ways, but the way I like to do it, because it's a simple form of communication, and we're going to do this right now so you can kind of relax, but what we're going to do is we're going to put your hand, somewhere comfortable. I'm putting it up here so it's in front of the camera. And you're going to give your subconscious and your superconscious mind the suggestion that says, if I subconscious mind raise my pointer finger, so if your hand is here, your pointer finger is going to go up if it's a yes. And then your second finger is going to go up if it's a no. So that way you can do that. So right now, everybody just do that. Take a few deep breaths. And since we're all, I think most of you are familiar with what I'm talking about with muscle testing. Should be familiar. And if you want to do your own form of muscle testing, you can. And then just say to yourself, subconscious, give me a yes signal. And just let your finger move on its own. You might be able to help a little bit at the beginning if you're not familiar with that. And then subconscious, give me a no signal. And then the other finger comes up. Okay. So let me take a break here and ask, does anyone have any questions or any problems doing that? And you could unmute yourself and talk. And I can't really see the people here. So just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question if you do.
So, Steve, we close our eyes, do that stuff, man, or what? What we
It's
do?
easier if you close your eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay. So, and I use the pointer finger. So the pointer finger goes up. It's a yes. The next finger over goes up. It's a no. Okay. So now that that's done, the next thing, and by the way, I'm gonna put a PDF. I'll put the link to the PDF of this in the chat box so you can download it. It's on the Coptic Center's Google Drive, so you'll just need a Google account. If you don't have a Google account, you can just create one. They're free, and then you'll be able to access it, and you can download this presentation if you want to practice it on your own. And then if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can reach out to me with questions, or if you wanted to do a session about it, we could. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is what's the condition you want to clear? What's up there right now in your life? Something, don't pick anything too big. Just something that's a little frustrating for you. Maybe your child is mad at you and you're nervous about that, or maybe you're trying to lose weight and you can't lose weight, so you're beating yourself up about it. You're feeling down, you're feeling a little depressed about something. Pick a subject that you want and just kind of touch the feeling a moment, just to kind of know what that is. And if you want, you can place one hand on your stomach and the other hand on your heart, or one hand on your heart and wherever on your body you might feel that. But usually most feelings are coming from our gut area, so you can't do that. So next, remember, our thinking mind needs to become disassociated. In other words, it needs to be objective. It can't be lost in the story. So the thinking mind, you want that to become clearer. And one way I like to do it is what we call the box breath, or just where you're inhaling for 4, you're holding for 4, you're exhaling longer than you're inhaling, and then you're holding that exhale out for that same amount of counts. And at the same time, I want you to just think about feeling love and feeling gratitude. And a big thing is you want to keep your conscious mind focused. What I find sometimes is when I'm doing this, if I'm like, it's good to do it like if you wake up in the middle of the night, you maybe go to the bathroom, come back to bed. That's a great time to do it. But I'll find that my conscious mind is wanting to drift on to something else, and I'll be in the middle of it, and just suddenly I'm thinking about something else. So this is something you really have to work at to keep focus on what you're doing, and the breathing will help. The big thing about this whole process, because remember, this is about awareness, is acceptance and compassion. In other words, if you feel righteous, damn it, I'm right and they're wrong and rah, 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 you're blaming somebody else for the way you feel. And part of this process is to take responsibility. You're not responsible for what they've done. You don't have to agree with what they've done, but you have to acknowledge that you choose to feel the way you do. So you can still disagree with them and debate with them and do whatever you want to do in a love from a loving space, but not from an angry space. So you don't want to fight it. You don't want to feel righteous because remember, what we resist persists. And this process is about not resisting and letting go of things. And it's how you can easily do it. It's very simple. It really is. Once we get past the setup stuff, it's a very simple process. And again, you want to feel compassionate with yourself. Do you want to feel guilty? Oh, damn it, I screwed up again. I'll never get it. Woe is me. You want to be accepting of yourself. You want to feel that love and gratitude. And if you start losing it, remember to just come back to the breath. Hamid Bey said that every emotion has a different type of breath. And so when we bring ourselves into this type of box breath like I have here, this is bringing us into a peaceful state where we can then accept and release this stuff. When we fall into it, become part of it again. We're not disassociating. You might consider yourself in a movie theater, sitting way in the back of the theater, watching something on a screen. So you're not lost in those feelings, the thinking mind, because we know the subconscious mind is still going to be there, and the higher self has got a solution. So next step is we're going to move on to that. So before we go on, let me just pause if there's any questions that anyone might have. You can unmute yourself and just speak and ask the question.
So, Steve, you breathe in 4 times and then hold 4 times,
Well,
exhale
you
in
breathe for the count of four. So it would
4.
be 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right.
Okay. Like that.
Good. Good question. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on to the fun stuff here. Okay, so our goal here is to find a peaceful and pleasant solution. Okay, so let's walk through this first, just to walk through the whole page, and then we'll do it. We'll actually exercise it, and I will kind of walk you all through it. Okay, so first of all, we'll close our eyes, and you don't have to right now, but we'll close our eyes and get comfortable, and we'll say, "Higher self, are you willing to help in this endeavor to clear this emotion?" And then you wait for the finger or whatever uh, muscle testing you want to do or ideomotors that you put as a yes. Higher self, for me, it's always said yes. Subconscious, are you willing to help in this endeavor to release these emotions and find a peaceful and pleasant solution? Ideomotor, yes, wait for the yes. So then you talk to your higher self and you say, "Higher self, please fill my subconscious mind with love and light, safety and healing, and to explain the healing process regarding this condition or emotion. Do so now and signal yes when you're done." And then you go to your breathing and you just breathe, focusing on the breath until you get the ideomotor signal of your finger that says, "Okay, I'm done." That's your higher self telling you, "Okay, I've communicated with the subconscious mind." Now you go to the subconscious mind and you say, "Subconscious mind, using the wisdom of the higher self, review all emotions, thoughts, ideas, beliefs that left any kind of imprint on any aspect of my being related to this condition. Work out a permanent, peaceful, and pleasant, lasting solution so that this condition no longer controls or affects any part of my being in any way. Do so now and signal yes when done." And then you just go back to your breathing and wait till you get till you till your subconscious gives you the finger and the yes finger, and wait for that finger. And what you'll find when you've done this is uh, that you'll just feel a release. It might be a big release all at once. It might be a little bit. Now, it would help to use these exact words, and you can read them if you want to. But the big thing is to say, that you're telling the subconscious mind that it wants to use the wisdom that it just learned from the higher self, and it wants to make a review of all of the thoughts and ideas and beliefs that left some kind of imprint and any aspect on, and you also want to, important is to say that it left an imprint on any aspect of my being related to this condition or emotion. And then you want to say, work on a permanent, peaceful, and pleasant, lasting resolution. You don't have to say these exact words, but you want to, something to, you can paraphrase it, but you want to remember, you want to say that it no longer controls or affects any part of my being in any way. Very important. And then you also have to tell the subconscious mind it's got to do it right now. Because otherwise you're not really, the subconscious mind will interpret things and it might say, well, it never told me when to do it, so I'm not going to do it. So you want to say, do so now and signal yes when you're done. So it doesn't have an option. It's going to do it and it's going to tell you when it's done. Then you're going to just focus on the breathing until you get the finger from the subconscious. So then you want to take a note of how you feel. So you want to just kind of take a few deep breaths and kind of look at yourself and say, well, do I still feel angry? You might still feel a little bit angry about something or whatever you're working on. If you do, then you just go back up to the top and say, ask your conscious mind, higher self, please fill the subconscious mind. You just want to do this again with any light, safety, and healing because what can happen is, you know, as as you probably know, we have a tendency to see things that reinforce our beliefs in life. So and so like if you have a certain belief, that's what you're gonna see in the world and it's gonna reinforce that belief. Somebody else has a different belief, they're going to see something else, and that's going to be reinforced in their mind. So, if you have multiple instances of situations or things that have happened in your life that are reinforcing this feeling, you might have to go through a couple times to release each of those experiences and do that. So what we're doing here is we're connecting the conscious mind with the higher self and the subconscious mind to all be working in unison towards one goal. And in moving towards that one goal, we take the full power of our higher self and all that comes along with that, and that which is greater than ourselves, all the way down with our survival instinct, which is in the subconscious mind, which is just trying to help again. Remember, this is not evil. This is not bad. It's not the devil. It's just a part of ourselves, which is just trying to help us. It's just trying to keep us alive and keep us working in this social environment that we're trying to live in. Okay. So before we do it, are there any questions on what we're going to do? So I'll stop for a moment and people can unmute if you have a question, and then we'll actually do the exercise ourselves.
Steve, this is Darcy.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Okay. So my question is, when we go through the higher self, that little script, and then the conscious mind focuses on the breathing. Are we going to be cognizant of that process that's happening in the conscious mind, or is our job just to let it go and just breathe and not worry about? It's just kind of taking care of it itself, or are we observing that
A great
consciously?
question. Um, it's taking care of itself. The more
Okay.
disconnected from the process you are, the better it will be. So, sometimes when I do this, I might get a flash of something that happened, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. If it does, you want to make sure you keep separated from it. The big thing
Okay.
is to keep separated. So to just know that the process is working, that your higher
Okay.
self, in most cases, you'll get nothing. And then
Okay.
after your subconscious mind gives you the finger, I should probably stop. After your subconscious mind gives you the yes symbol, um, then you'll find when you take stock in yourself that um, that feeling is diminished either completely or very significantly.
Okay. Great.
And
Thank
so
you. That answers my question.
yeah, so if you do start getting sucked into it, You want to focus on your breath, let the process happen on its own. It's like somebody else is doing it, like two other people are doing it. And then you want to focus on the breath and also work on just feeling love and gratitude. Find something in your life that you love tremendously or something that you're thankful for. And you want to keep the conscious mind out of it. All right.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
So normally this technique would be used by a hypnotist on you, and they would be guiding you through this. But I've kind of started using this on my own, and I've been using it this way for years, and it works. I find it works great. It doesn't always work 100%, but it's amazing how much it does work if you focus on it. Okay, good question. Great, thank you, Darcy. Anyone else? Okay. All right, so everybody just close your eyes. I'll read the scripts to you so you don't have to be reading it or worrying about it. Just kind of do the breathing. Inhale, one, two, three, four. Hold, two, three, four. Exhale, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Hold, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Just take a deep breath and you can keep this breathing going. Just allow yourself to relax. And so we're going to ask your higher self, well, first of all, ask your higher self, say, my name is Mr. McGillicuddy, and see if you get a no. And then say, my name is, and then whatever your name is, and just see if you get a yes. To just have the ideomotors to make sure it works. So just go ahead and take a moment and do that yourself. My name is Stephen John Krejcik. Yes. And now ask your higher self if it's willing to help. Higher self, are you willing to help us today to release this emotion and find a peaceful and pleasant solution? Yes. Subconscious, are you willing to help so that we can release and heal this emotion and find a peaceful and pleasant solution? Yes. Okay, now we're going to ask your higher self, please fill in the subconscious mind with love and light, safety and healing, and to explain the healing process regarding this condition or emotion that you are working on this at this moment. Do so now and signal yes when you are done. Okay, now we're going to go to the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind, using the wisdom of the higher self, review all emotions, thoughts, ideas, beliefs that left any kind of imprint on any aspect of my being related to this condition, and work out a permanent, peaceful, and pleasant lasting resolution so that this condition no longer controls or affects any part of my being in any way. Do so now and signal yes when done. All the while, your conscious mind is just focusing on the breathing until you get the yes signal. Okay, now take stock in your emotion, keeping your eyes closed. Just how do you feel now? And just say to yourself, did you release a little bit or all of it? And we're going to go again in a moment. So if it's completely gone, pick something else. If you're still a little bit there, start focusing on the breath. And I'm going to address your higher conscious, your higher self. Higher self, please fill the subconscious mind with love and light, safety and healing, and to explain the healing process regarding this condition or emotion. Do so now and signal yes when done. Focusing on the breath, letting the process happen. And speaking to your subconscious mind, using the wisdom of the higher self, review all emotions, all thoughts, ideas, beliefs that left any kind of imprint on any aspect of my being related to this condition. Work out a permanent, peaceful, and pleasant lasting resolution so that this condition no longer controls or affects any part of my being in any way. Do so now and signal yes when done. And then just take note of how you feel. If there's any anxiety inside, remember to just continue with the breathing. And we'll do one more round. So if there's more to clear with this, or just take a moment if there's something else that you want to work on right now. And we'll ask the higher self, please fill the subconscious mind with love and light, safety and healing, and to explain the healing process regarding this condition or emotion. Do so now and signal yes when done. And your conscious mind is just focusing on the breath, allowing this stuff to happen in the background. And then we go to the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind, using the wisdom of the higher self, review all emotions, thoughts, ideas, beliefs that left any kind of imprint on any aspect of my being related to this condition. Work out a permanent, peaceful, and pleasant, lasting resolution so that this condition no longer controls or affects any part of my being in any way. Do so now and signal yes when done. Focusing on the breath. And take note of how you feel now. You'll find you feel so much better, so much more peaceful. And now, as in closing, after you do this exercise, you want to take several breaths, inhaling, feeling immense love and gratitude. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Feeling immense love and gratitude, bringing up that beautiful aspect, something that you just love and you're so grateful for in life. Even if it's just my little finger doesn't hurt today, be grateful. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Feeling that love and gratitude one more time. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, three, four. Exhale. Two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Hold. Two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. And just take a deep breath and allow that love and gratitude to flow through your being, thanking your higher self, thanking your subconscious, thanking your entire being for doing this wonderful work today. Because the spirits and the energies are changing, and these techniques are so much more powerful today than they were 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So you can open your eyes. And so, in summary, why not start using your whole self as a team? Excuse me, instead of the parts fighting each other like they do. Allow yourself to feel different, whatever that might be, yet based in joy. Because you felt this way for so long. This is all you know. So you have to say, wow, I'm going to allow myself some different because I know the feelings that I've been feeling all my life are not working for me. So you have to accept that and allow something else to flow into you. And you want that to be love and joy. You want to remember to breathe, to keep the conscious mind disassociated, disconnected, and focused. As I mentioned, this conscious mind will sometimes, when you're doing this, it'll start wondering, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. So we'll take some discipline for a while, but if you find yourself drifting, just come back and start again. It's perfectly okay. There's no right or wrong here. And remember that this exercise can be done at any time. Thank you. That is that is all that I have to share today. So let me stop sharing my screen here.
Thanks,
And
Steve.
we could go to gallery view.
Yeah.
And
Thank you, Steve.
so let's can I hear from some people that on the call? What did you experience? Did anybody find any relief from that?
Well, I kind of took a sidecar somewhere, but well, I don't know if I want to get into it tonight, but um, I was thinking about when a child is born, when this baby is born, it doesn't really know about its conscious mind. It does have a subconscious mind and a superconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
But right away, right off the bat, this baby has feelings,
Mm-hmm.
right? It has an awareness. And that awareness um, can affect this child for a long, long time. And because, for instance, if a child is born to a mother but is adopted out right away,
Mm-hmm.
that baby has to know that the adoptive mother is not the same person that he lived in.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a trauma working right there. And my mind just went from there, um, and thinking about the superconscious, the conscious, and the subconscious. And as this baby develops and goes through life, um, it's going to feel feelings of abandonment and not even know why.
Right.
But it's a scar. So that's kind of where I'm going, Steve, and that's pretty powerful, I think, pretty heavy.
That is a big one that you might want to seek some help with a trained facilitator or therapist or someone who can, or, a hypnotist who can help you to resolve those issues, because that is a pretty big one. I'm talking about little things, you were embarrassed here or something happened there. Because usually what we find is there's layers, so what you're feeling now is not the problem. It's a symptom to something that happened a long time ago, like you said. I
Mhm.
believe that the sphere of influence starts at the point of conception, not when you're born. I believe it
Oh,
starts, you're even more influential during the uh, growing stages inside, to the feelings of the mother, the feelings that are
right.
around. And so yeah, these are all things, I've gone back to experience things in the womb, and so if you practice this technique with little things, you can get better at it,
Yeah.
right? Because you have, again, the whole key is the disassociation. If you've got severe feelings of abandonment, if you can disassociate from that and allow yourself to accept that, then good for you. But if you can't, then I would recommend
Hmm.
getting a session with a hypnotist, a shaman, a therapist. Bonnie's on the call. Call Bonnie. Oh, but she's retiring. Okay, well, she might be able to recommend somebody, but
It gets to help me, friend.
okay, good. I can do hypnosis. I can do shaman sessions, if you wanted to. So, but you are correct. But life is so full of like a million of these little things. I always jokingly say we spend the first 21 years of our life getting messed up and the rest of our life trying to get straightened out. Really think about adolescence and puberty, what it's like going through high school and college if you went to college, and
Yeah.
the feelings of societal peer pressure and
Yeah.
somebody did this, they said that to me, how that feels. These are the kind of things that we can clear because they
Mhm.
still affect us to this very day. I found after I got divorced, when I was 40, when I would date different people, I realized that, wow, I'm dating this person. She reminds me of somebody who maybe rejected me in high school. And I was being attracted to people who were there to teach me these lessons. Because spirit is not here to make you happy. Spirit is here to make you conscious. And in becoming conscious, you then become happy. But if you fight it, it's going to be, like they say, spirit will tap you on the cheek and then it'll a little harder and then it'll punch you and then it hits you upside the head with the 2x4 if you're not listening because it wants you to become conscious. We're all evolving and we all have the energies are so different and so much more powerful now that we can change much more rapidly now. That we have the ability to tap into these things and become more aware of our stuff. We change more probably in a year than 200 years ago they changed in a whole lifetime. And we could probably change more in a week now than people changed in whole lifetimes before. And it's partially the people, but it's the energy that the world is going through that is opening up these avenues. The conscious mind is happening, like when the internal combustion engine was invented, that came into the mass consciousness. And about three or four people that we know of invented the internal combustion engine at the same time. And Henry Ford took credit for flying. There was three or four people that were making airplanes at the same time. As the Wright brothers then took the credit. So this stuff comes into the mass consciousness, these new energies, and we all have access to these energies. And so we can learn to fly. We can do that. We can learn these techniques because we are evolving and the world evolving into, as Gandhi says, be the change that you want in the world. And we can do that through techniques like this, through meditation, through diet, as John would always say, diet, meditation, and exercise, right? You know, we can bring our bodies into alignment and we can align ourselves.
Yeah, Steve, this exercise, uh, it's just like anything else. The more you practice at it, the better you get at it. And it's just like going into the batting cage. You got to learn how to hit that curveball coming at you. But the thing of it is practice, practice, practice. Now, would you recommend this exercise twice a day, once a day? What are your thoughts on that?
Mm.
Um, Whenever you can. The more
Oh,
the better. Like this afternoon before the talk, I was doing a meditation, a half-hour meditation, and I was just doing it the whole half hour on things. Something would clear, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I feel some tension in my arms," and so then I would say whatever that tension is, then I would go and do that tension, or I might feel a feeling in my stomach that says, "Oh, you're feeling a little tension in your stomach here." You don't have to know what the feeling is because your higher self does know what it is. So yeah, so I would say do it as much as possible. You can do it before you go to bed, do it in the morning when you wake up.
okay. All right. Thank you.
And the words are, it's good to memorize the words, but the gist of the words is important. If you look at the sentence structure the way it is and what it's saying, just try to get the gist of the words, about imprints and habits and thoughts that may be stuck or whatever, because you may not remember every single word when you're in that relaxed state. Yeah, so that's a good question. The more the better.
Mm.
Practice, practice, practice. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think for speaking overall, we don't really know what stuff we're carrying around with us. Maybe not only from this life, but from past lives, And
Yeah.
so it's a little house cleaning, spiritual house cleaning.
Yeah. And like when I had the sleep apnea thing that he worked on, I didn't need to, but I did experience myself going into a past life
Mm.
where I was the son of the chief of a tribe in Africa, and I had horrible lung problems, and I
Mm.
died like at the age of 19 or something
Mm.
of some kind of lung disease.
Mm.
And because of that, it was such an embarrassment to the family because the son of the chief is supposed to be strong and continue the role of chief. It was such an embarrassment and disgrace to the family that I held that. And that's what every night when I would go to sleep, I would die in my sleep. I would
Mm.
stop breathing in my sleep. And then my body would go, wait a minute, it's not your time yet.
Mm.
And then I would wake up. But you don't need to experience that. You can I've also had many times where you didn't. And you're right, you don't know. But what you do know is, man, I feel something. I feel tension in my stomach. Or I feel just angry. Why am I so angry now? I don't know why I'm angry, but I'm just angry. You just want to kick the cat. Well, not the cat, sorry, Alan. But you know what I mean. You just want you want to just rip something apart because you feel so angry. You don't know what it is, but you can use this to relieve that because remember what I mentioned that the neuroscience is saying now that they're actually seeing that as you become aware of emotions that the synapses in your brain are actually changing. You're actually going through a physical change. But
Mm.
what happens is you want to go back because you're like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be angry. I'm self-righteous. I want to be angry at this or that or this politician or that politician. I'm going to be angry. I mean, look at social media. Look at social media after the halftime show at the Super Bowl. How many people were angry at that? It's silly. And so when you get angry at something like that, you can say, I'm angry and I'm just going to come in and do this. You don't have to know what it was in past life. You might, but it's not necessary because the process happens with between the superconscious and the subconscious. So you're using all three parts of yourself.
Mm.
And you might remember. I think it's fun to remember because it's kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
good question. Other thoughts, other comments, questions? Did anybody else experience anything? Or
Will this experience see help me hit the curveball?
yeah, after this, will I be able to play golf?
Yeah. I don't-
Yeah. Other anybody else want to share?
I like the breathing, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I put the link in the chat box. You can
Yeah.
click on that, and then you can download it to your computer if you want the PDF. If you're having a challenge with that, you could email me. I think everybody has my email. It's stephenk1@att.net, and I can send it to you if you'd like to do it. But it'd be fun if you'd practiced it and let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear, if you do it more and more. And like Bill said, to practice it. And you don't want to, if you're learning to drive a car, you're not going to go into a race car at the first time you drive. You're going to go into the old beater and you're going to drive around nice and slow in the parking lot. You don't want to do this on big, big things like Nancy mentioned, like if there's abandonment issues or
Mm.
something like that. You want to just do it on what are you feeling right now? What's going on in your life right now?
Mm.
Why is it there? Well, not you don't really care why it's there, but you can do it and and let it go.
Steve, have you ever recorded your voice doing this so you can kind of do it, really let go? I was thinking about that, but I was wondering how would I time it, so that there was enough time for a yes response.
Well, I've been doing this for a long time, so my yes response usually is almost done before I'm done saying that let me know yes when you're done because they can go like that. I mean,
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm,
superconscious mind is thinking at a million times faster than our thinking mind is, so it's already working on it as you're saying it. And the subconscious mind also works so much faster than our conscious mind. So for me, it's pretty quick. But when you do it, if you see, maybe just give yourself 15, 20 seconds and um, the other thing I find is, it's like nature abhors a vacuum, if you will. So if your conscious mind knows it's only got 15 seconds, or your superconscious knows it's got 15 seconds,
mm-hmm.
it will do it in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like, when did you ever work or go to a meeting? If the meeting is 15 minutes, everything gets done in 15 minutes. If the meeting is scheduled for an hour and a half, it takes an hour and a half to do the same stuff, right? So you just say, hey, you've got 15 seconds here to do this. You know, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
My
And you're
my
you're right.
answers came pretty fast too, but I just
Yeah,
wondered about recording so I don't have to look at the words or.
that's a great idea. And they actually told us that in class that we can do, inductions to ourselves in terms of what we want to work on. And then when you hear it in your own voice, it also becomes very powerful,
Hmm.
you know. And it's funny when I hear my own voice, I like kind of go, "Ooh, I sound like
I know what you mean. Yeah.
that." Maybe that's why I don't like being recorded, because then I have to listen to myself. See, there's something for me to work on tonight. Good.
There you go.
Bonnie, do you have any thoughts or comments being a professional?
Oh, well, no, I think it's a great technique because, and tuning into your um, body memories and things like that, and tuning in and bypassing the conscious mind, you're going to get better answers doing that. And
Right.
that's a great technique for people to do, and just tuning into what's happening in your body. I like that.
Right. And in the class, there was a young lady, 30 something, and she had an eye disorder since she was little, that
Mhm.
she had to wear these glasses. If she took the glasses off, she would fall over. So
Oh,
she had to wear these like Coke
Oh,
bottle lenses because her eyes were not balancing right. He did one 20-minute session with her at the beginning of the class, and for the next 6 months of the class, she never wore her glasses again.
oh, that's
wow.
Well,
So
God bless. Yeah.
and
yeah.
another lady in the class had horrible back pain. She had 5 different pain doctors she went to. Again, one 20-minute session sitting in front of the class in the uncomfortable chair while everybody's watching, and she didn't have back pain for like 3 months, and then it eventually came back. But so it can work at deeper levels because I believe in the body mind theory that all physical ailments ultimately come from an emotional block somewhere that our emotions will settle in a part of our body. And so in clearing the emotions, like the sleep apnea, cured a guilt feeling that was in me from perhaps another life. Perhaps it was also something in this life. And, you know, interestingly, I've done a lot of work with past life stuff, and I've always found with past life stuff that there's a trigger in this life
Yeah.
that you could say, okay, that trigger when I age 3 actually caused my sleep apnea, and the past life stuff is just an expression or an animation of my feeling, or I picked up on energy from somebody else that had that energy, but I had a propensity towards it. So it doesn't matter if you believe in past lives or not. What matters is that you're addressing it and you're allowing the conscious and the subconscious mind to work in the background to heal and to heal yourself. And it's something you do yourself, and it's very powerful. But like I said, you can contact, any number of people who do healings. I can do hypnosis or shaman work on you, or Bonnie can, or other people here do, if you wanted some more help. Any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Well, just to go with what you were saying, I found in working with people when they had some issue that had made no sense in this life, I generally found it came from a past life, but it was addressing itself in this life. And so we had to go back to the past life in order to clear it for this life so they could move forward.
Yeah. But I sometimes wonder if that's not just simply a disassociation technique that
Possibly.
the subconscious mind is doing.
Sure.
It's creating a story that had happened to somebody else so that you can separate from it and
Mm-hmm.
heal.
Yeah, no matter what you call it, doesn't matter because if it facilitates healing, that's what's important.
It's good, right? Exactly. And to believe in it and to do it. Yep. Good point. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Anyone
you.
else? Alan, you have anything? You're a trained hypnotist yourself. Love to hear.
Yeah, the process that you outlined is very much in line with what a number of practitioners use. So it hits all the steps, checks all the boxes, all that kind of stuff. For those that want a simpler approach, there probably are a few different ways to shortcut the process. One of the things that I learned was self hypnosis is that if you set the intention before you start that, okay, I'm going to go into a meditative state. I want my deeper mind to work on this issue for me. I want it to clear out any blocks that need to be cleared out, to bring into alignment anything that needs to be brought into alignment, to do whatever it takes to take care of this issue for me. And I'm going to give myself a period of time, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want to do. And I expect that when I come out of this, the change will be made. And then just allow yourself to go into that state with that intention, and then the rest of your system just takes care of it for you. So there are some ways to shortcut the process and make it simpler. But if you really want to be in the driver's seat, then the process that Steve outlined is definitely a good one to use with that. And like he was saying, there are so many examples of what can be corrected, fixed, cured, whatever term you want to use, through these mental processes. There are some areas where the medical establishment doesn't really like what they call the lay people from using these techniques, and especially the words used. But there are some people that will use this type of process to change our relationship to certain things that we had been allergic to in such a way that when we come out of it, we're no longer allergic to those things. And that's one of the examples. Phobias is another thing where if you have a trained professional hypnotist leading you through the process, it really is a simple process, but you want that that professional trained person who knows how to handle weird stuff that could come out in the process. But 20 minutes and a lifelong phobia can be gone. So the power of the mind is incredible. And again, the process that Steve outlined here is one way to use that power to make whatever changes you want to make within yourself.
Anybody else? You know, one good thing is for topics like this, the fact that we have recorded talks. So you can go back and get further, all the details if you can't remember them all. Because you're busy, tonight we were busy listening and we couldn't write things down. So the recordings that we have are really a good tool. So, okay, I would like to close out our evening with saying the Coptic prayer. If you'd like, you could say it with me. So it starts, Heavenly Father, make my heart thy garden of joy and happiness, thy temple of peace. May the radiant lights of the Spirit illuminate the pathway of my life, uniting my soul and mind into one thought of love. May the perception of such enlightenment guide me in the fulfillment of my thoughts and desires. May the fragrance of thy presence be ever manifested in my life. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you, Steve, Alan, and we'll see you soon. We'll see you in another week.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Good night. Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Hey.
Have fun. Let me know how it goes if
Good
you
night.
practice it. Love to hear.